on, say hello, where you are, what you're up to, where you're from, why you're here, all that kind of stuff. There's enough people coming tonight for us to make it a little bit intimate, which would be nice.
That doesn't mean we'll take any clothes off either.
No, we don't have to do that. There's plenty of stuff on Facebook if you want to see that, guys. Yeah. But yeah, that'll be good. Or pop stuff in the chat as well as we're going along if you've got questions and all that kind of stuff. When we get chatting, we'll mute if guests can mute at that point, definitely. And then we'll have a little bit of a break at around 8:15, I think it'll be, somewhere around there. I'm just going to say goodnight to the kids and things like that at that point. So yeah. But we'll just leave it till 35 minutes past because I'm a terrible multitasker. So if I get into the flow of things and someone pops up to be admitted into the room, believe it or not, that can just stop me, just dead. No. I'm very one-tracked mind, you know, I'm a typical bloke at getting distracted.
Fair enough. I think I'm wired the other way. I only ever really multitask.
Yeah, well, no, I'm looking forward to hearing about some of that. So yeah.
I've just realised if my iPad's propped up on my husband's computer, and if I put the thing on it, actually you can see me. Oh dear, I'm winning it today. Okay.
And feel free to put your cameras on as well, guys, if you want to. But there's no compulsory there. It's always nice to see what I imagine are smiley faces looking back at us, but there might not be. It might be, yeah, something else. But yeah.
Hey.
There we go. Hi, Jill.
Hello.
I always like it on you're on the BBC News now, where they don't have people in the studio. They like have their cameras on at home, and I sit there thinking, oh, they should have got a better light setup, and oh, their bookshelves are the right mess, and things like that. And then when I do things like this, I realise that you just don't think of it, do you?
You just made me think, what's my background setting?
Now, yours looks quite intellectual. You know, you've got your music, and that looks quite cool. Yeah,
it's my little bit that I've built, my little sort of cave to work from home in. So
nice.
Yeah, every now and again I have a little break and just play on my little piano that I've got next to me. Yeah. So yeah.
I'm in my husband's office because basically I'm hiding from all the kids. That's in my house. So this is the best place to hide.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll make a start. No doubt some people will join in as we go along, and hopefully I'll multitask enough to get them in. But welcome everybody. First of all, I'll tell you a little bit about the charity. So Blue Tonic was set up. It was set up actually during lockdown. Well, just prior to lockdown. It's just a charity about connecting people around water, and it's loosely based around the book called Blue Mind. Don't know if any of you guys have read it, but it's by a guy called Wallace J. Nichols, and it's all about how nobody had really done any studies into why water's really good for you. Just go into water, spending time around it. Probably lots of people know about it without thinking about it, but it's incredibly good for you. And the Blue Mind is a state that he suggests exists, that when you go to the water, it's the quickest thing that unplugs you. It's like a sort of mild meditation feeling that you get, and it's just incredible for your health and well-being, to the point where allegedly if you visit blue spaces twice a week during your lifetime, which Rachel does a little bit more than that, so she might live forever, but you live longer. We're just about sort of highlighting that to people, and then thinking about, well, are there any people out there that have got barriers to going out and doing stuff around water? Can we do any projects around those barriers? We're also interested in making sure we're promoting water safety, so we've run stuff like a program called Swim Safe, which is all about not frightening kids about staying out of the water, but more about saying, if you get in water, this is what happens to your body. If you fall in cold water, these are the sorts of things you can do to survive, and all that kind of stuff, and talks to them about swimming safely and gets them in and immersive and all that kind of stuff. And we've done another project, a totally different project, which was about singing under bridges, which is about men's mental health and it was featured a little bit on the BBC and things like that. So that's been really nice to do that, and that's kicking off again actually on the 17th of January. So we're glad that that's restarting. We're going to get that back up and running. So, but that's a bit about the charity. You can find more. Please follow us on Facebook. Probably people already do that are here. So Preaching to the Converted, but encourage other people to get involved, especially our winter challenge at the moment, which Rachel's involved. You've done plenty of challenges, haven't you? How have you found it so far?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm really liking, because there's such a variety of different things to pick from, that I'm trying to actually steer myself off the things that come easy for me. Like, it's not a challenge, is it, if you just rock up and do something that's easy? So I'm trying to pick out different ones, and I'm really liking that actually. And it's having particularly having conversations with people around, like why they spend time near water, or why they swim, what they get out of it, has been really, really helpful actually in terms of my mental health and things. So it's been good. Yeah,
I was walking down today, and there was a guy with a camera, and it got it in my head that I can sort of give me permission to go and talk to him and ask him what he gets out of photographing the water, and just nice to spark that conversation with people, and and stuff like that. But I don't know if any of you guys are doing the Blue Challenge out there. The Blue Mind Challenge, it's on our website. It's a £5 to take part, but it's just a tool basically to get you out, diarying little things that you can do to stimulate your blue mind and get out in nature. Or anything that we raise from that goes back into match funding, anything that we're doing as a charity and stuff. So yeah, it's something that I've really enjoyed, and it's great that Rachel's one of our ambassadors, that she's sort of joined in and done that and stuff, and got involved. So yeah, I think now though we'll start to talk about Rachel, and thanks for coming along and agreeing to do this. I know we were supposed to do it last year, weren't we? So we got unlucky last year with timings and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we feel like we've waited a year to get you on here, so it's great. We are recording this session as well. We do record them, and that's why I think a few less people are rocking up to them now, because they know they can go back and look at them on YouTube, because I'll put this out in about a week's time on YouTube. So you guys can watch back. But it's always nice to be here, and you'll get opportunities to ask Rachel questions yourself and stuff as well. So just in terms of you, first of all, just let's start at the beginning. You know, I'm feeling in a musical mood, so let's start with a very good place to start. Where what sort of you know, like, where did you grow up and all that kind of stuff, and what was going on early years and stuff?
Yeah, so my dad's Navy, so I was a Navy brat. We lived everywhere. I feel like I went to primary school basically everywhere. So Derby, I was born in Edinburgh. I'm adopted, so I don't know a lot about my actual background, but with my adopted parents, we kind of travelled around, moved a lot with the Navy, until my dad decided we had to stay a bit put for my secondary education. So it's my children coming in, because really? And then we stayed at home, and my dad still travelled, still did Navy stuff. He was a submariner. So I went to school outside Portsmouth. I went to a private all-girls school, which was an incredibly bitchy, toxic atmosphere, and I don't care if the school disagrees, bite me. I didn't enjoy school. I had dyslexia, which was undiagnosed, so I think I had a fair amount of teenage angst, and then a bit. So we used to kind of do family holidays. A lot to France seemed to be our kind of place to go, and basically you just leave me there and I'd be in the water. I was thinking about this the other day. I used to walk with my dad along the edge and pick up, you know, shells and little bits of pretty things, you know, and just swim and swim and swim. And the other thing I think I did up until I was about 13, when I got really body conscious, I used to swim in a team as well. So swimming was always something we did. We went for lessons every week. We'd go, you know, in the pool, never really outside unless it was abroad. When it was, you know, deemed, I think my parents are still a bit baffled at me now doing this outside all the time. And that's, I think, probably those childhood things of swimming being very comforting and very relaxing, you know, kind of helped, always kind of been there, I think.
Yeah. So you've always had that connection with the water and all that kind of stuff, and then fast forward. Do you think you were aware that it was sort of good for you back then, or was it just like just pure enjoyment?
Yeah, like I as an adult had an ADHD diagnosis about 8 months ago, and I think part of what the water does and being near the water is it helps me to have a much quieter head. Like it helps to tune everything else out, and I can live in the moment, and I can kind of appreciate what's around me and the beauty of what's around me without feeling all the kind of pressures of what's coming and what I've done, and all those other things that normally kind of get muddled up in my brain. And I think that I appreciated that even when I was little. I just didn't know why it was so prominent.
Yeah. So it's that external stimulus, isn't it, probably, when you've got all that going on.
And I'm very sensory seeking. Like I have some sensory issues where I don't like some noise and some sound, and some stuff bothers me. But actually, in terms of physical sensation, I really like the feeling of the water and the sensation of, I didn't mind if it was cold even when I was little, and it was quite a nice relaxing kind of thing. Yeah,
cool. And then as you were growing up and stuff, did you spend, like, obviously you said, was it like club swimming that you used to do?
Yeah, like in a pool. It was like racing.
yeah. No, I did the same, but sort of left that behind when I got to a point where it felt like it was a group of blokes marching up and down the poolside shouting at me while I swam up and down in a box, if that makes sense. So when did you move away from that and have a period where you weren't getting in the water and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, my sort of end of my teenage years, I was ill. When I was 17, I had a pulmonary embolism. I had a blood clot in my lung, which is not recommended. It was horrible. And I was really poorly. And I didn't really do anything then for like my 20s, which sounds, it's insane, like it's actually mad. I was just ill. I was ill in hospital and kind of did my university degree. I did a master's, and I didn't have the water. And I don't know how that happened, really, because something that had been important to me, it just dropped off the radar completely. And I think probably then I wasn't really looking after myself very well, honestly. And I sort of found it again in my 30s, but through being a mum. So I had my little ones, and I've got 2 of my own, and I've acquired 3 stepchildren, so we've got 5 between us. And the beach is a free day out. And it's there's lots of, as long as you can like stop people drowning and keep your eye on what they're doing, it's actually quite a nice, when they're little, they can go up and tootle around and things. But it wasn't until I was really ill again that I sort of found cold water swimming, and that was quite sort of life-changing, really, for me. So it's interesting, isn't it, how you drift away from things even though they're good for you.
So you got poorly again, and then so what was the moment then that led you to the cold water then?
Yes, I've been diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. I've got refractory celiac type 2, go me. There's 5 other people in the UK with it. We've got a little Facebook support group where we just tell each other it's a bit shit every now and again, and it is. It's not that bad. I mean, I don't have diabetes. I don't have to inject myself. Just have to eat. It basically means you don't eat gluten like a normal celiac, but then your body doesn't realise, and it carries on attacking you anyway, which is just so rude. So you have to take immune suppressants, which make you feel a bit yucky. And I was really poorly at one point. I couldn't stand up. I couldn't do the school run. Like, my world became my bedroom, and that was all I could manage. And a good day was I got downstairs to try and make dinner, and it was really, 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 really rubbish. I stopped. I did all the things I said, and I didn't get any better, and it wasn't getting better, and it just kind of went on and on. I met a friend at a parenting class, and we'd gone to, because my middle son has some mental health issues, and we'd gone to that to try and get some help. And she randomly said that she run a kind of like it's like a triathlon training thing in a lake, and I just thought, that sounds really good. I don't know what part of my brain was like, that's a good idea. But I went down, and it was like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I still wasn't very well, and it was February, which is like a stupid time of year to start swimming anyway. only really daft people do that. And she lent me a wetsuit because, you know, she have to have a wetsuit to go in the lake. I was like, okay. And then it was freezing and I did half a lap. It was like hardly worth getting in, you know, like I was in for about 35 seconds, I think, like no time, just trying to breathe because I didn't know how to get in. I didn't know how to do my breathing. I didn't know what I needed to get out. When I got out, I couldn't, like, I was so cold, I couldn't put my shoes on. I was shaking so much, like I was having a fit. Like I had no idea how to look after myself or how to keep myself safe. And there was no one else there who was helping because they were all zooming off round and round doing laps. And it was brilliant. I got home and I was shaking and I was like, that was so good, I'm going to go next week. But then I sort of decided I didn't need a wetsuit because it was a bit of hassle. And I kind of was doing some, and then, you know, I've got a brain where once something's good, I kind of hyper focus on it.
Yeah.
So I was doing a load of Googling and I found Hampshire Open Water Swimmers, and that's who I swim with today. And I kind of rocked up there and that I never looked back.
That was from one triathlon swim with a wetsuit.
Well, yeah, it was just a thing. She just randomly, this, I think sometimes the universe puts people in your way, don't they?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You should meet this person and they'll tell you something you should do, and all you need to do is say yes and suspend disbelief. And she said, you know, it'll help you. And I was like, okay. So off I went. Yeah.
And was the rough plan in your head at that point to do a triathlon or not? Was it just
no? I'm not. I'm you know, I don't skinny dip, I chunky dunk. I'm not really triathlon material. And no, just to go down and just see what it was like in this lake. She said it's lovely and there's ducks, and I kind of hadn't ever really occurred to me that would be a thing people did.
Because it's almost like pioneering in a way then, because like I find that people do make crossover now from that. Like it's almost like at one point there was two sets of swimmers where it was like you were either triathlon, or you're up in the wild, and none of them see
got your bubble hat.
There's not much crossover.
Yeah.
You know, pre-lockdown, and then the boom in lockdown.
Yeah.
That seemed to be a bit of crossover because, yeah, for all sorts of reasons.
Because we all couldn't swim.
Yeah. Well, that's the main reason. But yeah. And then, yeah. So one session in the lake then, and then literally wetsuit off. That was it.
Done. Yeah. Like I'm quite a joiner-inner. Like if people go, do you want to do this? I'm like, yeah. And I don't do things half-heartedly. I really do things. So once I'd found my people, you know, I was like, this is brilliant. And then I was kind of all taken up with, where do you swim and where can you get in and how do you get out and what can I learn about this and what can I read? And that was it. I was just completely like submerged in it. What an excellent metaphor. But it just became something that was I knew it was going to be important to me, so it was worth learning.
Yeah. But it shines through, even just like you talking now about it. It all comes through, so which is really nice. So that first swim with the dippers, or was that just, what was it like rocking up to a swimming group just without anything?
Yeah, like I'm a neurodiverse bunny, you know, like I get anxious about meeting new people. But I think if I went to the first one, everyone was so nice. People were so kind and you know, just so lovely. And they were explaining all about, you know, they were teaching me, but like not teaching me like, oh, you're an idiot and you should know this. They were teaching me like, oh, this is really useful things, and you know, it will be helpful for you to learn, and how long can you stay in and how do you get in without going and you know, all these brilliant things that I had no idea about. And they're people who are teaching me and they're passing it on freely, you know, because they have loved and been given that information themselves. And I think it was the first time I really kind of had part of an adult community where I felt that there was value in what we were doing and people were really sharing that information with love. And it was really special. And I you know, I don't feel anxious about going swimming now, even if I'm leading swims or I'm taking strangers or whatever, because I've never met a swimmer I didn't like. Like never. So there seems to be inherently something lovely about them.
I've met a few triathlete swimmers that I might not be as keen on, but not in the wild swimming. just like I remember one of my first experiences going to triathlon and entering a triathlon, and the chest bumping, and it was probably just on the day in the competition. It just felt a little bit like, you know, like and I suppose I could have a couple
of organised swims. You know, like we did the Serpentine, which is like the swimming bit of the London Classics medal.
So
So the marathon's the other bit, and there's the big long bike ride. I've only got the bike ride left now, but there was quite a bit of that at the Serpentine swim, and I think we were just at the back going, "Oh, you do what you like," and we'll just have a lovely time instead of all the kayakers. So it's what you make it, isn't it?
And what I think with the wild swimming groups that I've been involved in, or listening to other people talk about wild swimming groups they've been to, is that the only people that seem to maybe get in a little bit of difficulty when they go wild swimming are the people that sometimes rock up and don't listen to that advice. It sounds like you were just a sponge and asking questions, which is really good, but I think some people can naively rock up and when they get told, and they might be coming from that competitive background, and it's because it's not blokes that I've seen getting difficulty, and they've gone like, someone said to them, you should probably only stay in for like 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And next thing, 10 minutes later, they're still in the water and I feel fine. Yeah, but there's something called after drop. We've tried to explain to you. Do you get what I mean? And all that.
Yeah, we've had a few of those, and like, I've actually had a few of those, and they have all been men. I'm just trying to think. I don't want to sound sexist. No, I think they have all been men. But when you're like, sometimes, then your job as someone who's swimming with them is to look after them and make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
Like, I've done a lot of aftercare of swimmers who perhaps should have listened a little bit better, but I think everybody learns differently, and some people have to learn by doing. And actually, the first time you really, and I've been so cold, I've frightened myself and gone, oh, too long. So, sometimes people perhaps have to learn that once, and then they know what that feels like, and you won't do it again.
Yeah.
Like, I've had to wrap up, a big, strong fireman who came swimming and stayed in far too long, even though he was told, he shouldn't, until he was okay. And I've had to drive people home. I've had to it's just about, I'm quite lucky, really. I'm a Sea Scout leader. I take little kids out on the water with scouts, and we do a lot of hypothermia training. I feel like I'm doubly good at noticing signs of hypothermia now, where people start saying, I'm quite warm, actually, I could stay in. I'm like, So it's a
classic sign, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so obviously now swimming's had a big impact on you, and it actually has helped significantly, hasn't it, with the autoimmune?
Yeah, it's gone.
It's gone. There we go.
I'm about to be signed off a lifelong condition. Like, I don't have any. I'm asymptomatic. Like, it's still there. I couldn't wolf back a load of pizza and be okay. I've still got a celiac, but the refractory, difficult, weird bit is completely in remission. My consultant's never had anyone that had that. So It's quite amazing. I love going to see him because he's just like, oh, it's so amazing. I'm like, oh, I know. And it's lovely. But it's just, it's so nice to be medically doing something right for once. But we don't know. There's nothing that I've done apart from swimming that's different. Swimming's the only thing that's different between my life now and before. So I can only assume that it's had impact.
Yeah. Brilliant. And that experience, I suppose, has again led you down a sort of path that has led to you being involved in the mental health swims. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and what you do?
The mental health swims are brilliant. They're really, really good. I don't know if anybody's heard of them before. There's a charity, the Mental Health Swims. They've got a website, look it up. And the lady that founded it is also called Rachel, because it's an excellent name. And it's a once a month dip. It's a dip. Mine's not really a swim, it's a dip. It's not competitive. So they say community, not competition, which I love. It's just everybody comes down, we sort of talk through the place. We always dip in the same place, which is on the River Itchen, in like a shallowed out lock. It's really beautiful. It's like being a little kid. You can go through and swoosh through the gate, and you can jump in, and it's like playtime. It's just delightful. We have them once a month, and then it's they are being prescribed now by local GPs. So I just think that's amazing that people with anxiety and depression are coming along, and I have to carry this great big pink pirate flag, which is on a very inconvenient pole halfway across the field. So people, if they feel anxious, they don't have to go, oh, I wonder who my swim host is. It's that mad lady with a pirate flag. We go for little dips. I help people get in, teach them like, do your breathing and everything. Only in for a couple of minutes sometimes. It depends how people are doing. Sometimes they want to talk about, how they're doing. We've had a lot of training, kind of mental health first aid training to support people. And then we get out, and we have a bit of cake, because I do quite a lot of baking. So I force cake on people, and then we do a little litter pick, because it's nice to leave the area nicer than we found it. And everybody goes home smiling, and it has been quite a wonderful thing. Like, we've had a lot of people come who aren't swimmers. They're not just like my swimming group who turn up on a different day of the week. It's people I've not met, who are struggling, who have been kind of pointed in our direction, or seen us on the internet, or just fancied swimming but didn't know where to start. It's quite a nice place for beginners. It's, you know, I take my kids there. It's very, you'd have to try really hard to get into difficulty. And it's just become this beautiful, like, really caring community. It's delightful. I was anxious the first couple of times I did it. I was like, oh, there's like 20 people coming, and got to like make sure everybody's okay, but we all kind of look after each other. And honestly, it's one of the highlights of my month now. I really look forward to going, and even if it's hammering it down, people turn up, and we're all stood there in the rain, because you're going to get wet anyway, you know.
Yeah.
We might as well just. It's been a delight, and I'm really pleased. I have to apply to be a host. I nearly didn't. I kind of nearly talked myself out of it, but I'm really pleased I did, because it's made a difference to lots of people.
Yeah.
And you know, and then you see those people who go on to do other things, like other swimming type things, and you see them kind of being able to support themselves, support their own mental health, and it's like, oh, it's lovely.
Yeah. I suppose it cascades on that then they're supporting other people, and
yeah. And it's just, it's like, it's about an hour and a half out of my month every month, and it's totally worth it. It's just delightful. And sometimes, rather amusingly, Hampshire Search and Rescue turn up at the same time, because they use our lot for training. Right. In their massive dry suits, and the bloke was like, oh, we looked quite badass till you all turned up in a swimming costume. But they practice throwing their lines and things, you know, and we just sort of swim around them. But yeah, it's
good that's happening at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? They were like, we've booked the lot. I was like, oh, we just turned up because it's the first Saturday of the month. Yeah. But it is a complete pleasure, and I really like, we've got an Instagram account. Yeah. And I love all the other Instagram accounts from the other different mental health swims, because some of them are beaches, and there's one in Lake Windermere, and there's one in Parliament Hill Lido, and they're all over the place. And just, it's that same thing of community, and I just think it's gorgeous, and it's what we missed in lockdown by the bucket.
Well, any links that you, when I attach the YouTube video, anything that you want, like, put in,
oh yeah, cool,
it's out there, we can stick that in. And equally, I don't know if any of it's on your if we need to update anything on our ambassador section on the website, we can update anything there for people, so they know where to click through and look at stuff. But yeah, it sounds incredible, the mental health stuff. And I imagine it's like, because we've been doing the sort of a similar thing with the choir, that it's sort of turned into a bit of a safe space for blokes who it's probably quite a thing that's acknowledged, that blokes maybe don't open up that well and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe unless they're in a pub, maybe after about 4 or 5 pints, it probably doesn't quite go as well as they imagined, you know, like at that point. So we the guys that got involved and came along to that, and it's gradually built in terms of numbers, have all said that it just feels like a safe space, and people aren't necessarily talking about mental health, but they're learning something new together, and it sort of builds resilience, and they know that if they want to talk about it, they can. Whereas I wonder what that's like, because I've not been on a mental health swim. I'll have to go. I imagine there's more ladies at the mental health, because ladies are very well represented when it comes to wild swimming compared to men, I feel. So yeah, I wonder if the dynamic's slightly different. I don't know.
We do get men.
Yeah, cool.
Wonderful. You know, it's wonderful men come along. We have men every swim. I think there's more men at the mental health swim than there are at normal, like my swimming group swims.
Yeah.
Men are quite rare, sort of chicken's teeth type thing. Yeah, there's definitely more men at the mental health swims. I don't know if that's because it's the way it's marketed, or because it's a sort of specific event. I don't know. I have to think about that one.
Might be the doctors, might it, as well, if they're getting referrals through.
Yeah, maybe.
Like a bloke has to be told to go and do something. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It has to be prescribed, or you're not going to do it. You know?
River.
Yeah, I've got permission now. Someone's told me I've got to be there. Yeah. So like that kind of thing, maybe.
That sounds good.
Welcome, Vivian's rocked in. So yeah.
Hi, Vivian.
So yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. And then the other thing I was really keen to talk to you about is what we were talking about when we first came on. So seems that like probably the ADHD and the focus around that, like that it gives you at times, and that hyper focus, which I understand. Then the sort of challenge stuff that you do. So yeah, just tell us a little bit more about the numbers of days in a row swimming and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So like I am a bit of a compulsive joiner-inner. Like I'm on the PTA and I'm a scout leader, and every time someone says, "Can anyone help?" I'm like, "Me, I can help." But I saw a thing on the internet, and it was a 365 challenge, and one of my friends who's a swimmer had sort of said, "Oh, these guys look really good. I wonder if anyone would be up for it." And I thought, I'll do that, me, without thinking about it even slightly. So I joined up to the 365 sea swimming challenge. They kindly let me do it in rivers as well, because I'm not that near the sea. Run by Chris Thomas, who's in Brixham. It's a lovely gang of people, and basically I had to swim every day for a year, which is so much harder than you'd think. Like honestly, it was dreadful. I'd like have parents, I'm a teacher, so I'd have parents evenings, and I'd have to go swimming in the dark on my own at 11 o'clock at night or 5 a.m. in the morning on the way to school. And it was really nice when I finished it, because everyone turned up with balloons, but I wish all those people had come for the ones where I was on my own. Like kind of sitting in the dark going, what am I doing with my life? It was ridiculous life choices. But I raised a lot of money for Hillsey Lido, which is our local Lido, which is just been saved from crumbling into the sea. So it was really good. Honestly, it was a killer. And I think I got to about 300 days and I got really precious about, oh God, I'm going to get COVID and I'm not going to be able to finish. And I got really paranoid about it. And it was really hard. And then I finished, it was brilliant. And I thought, oh, I know, I'll be the first woman to get to 500, because 500 club, can't just finish like a normal person. No. So tried to go to 500, but I ended up in hospital, had an ovarian cyst, which was rubbish. So I couldn't get to 500, and they wouldn't let me have it. So I started again. So I'm on day like 280. So I'll get to 365 again in March. Obviously there'll be some sort of like cake based party, and then I'm going to try and go to 500, just because then I can say I finished it. And I'm kind of like this about everything. So like I decided I was going to swim the Solent in the summer, and I swam that for surface against sewage, and that was also bloody hard work. Like instead of being 1 mile, got stuck in a current and did 5. But it was like one of these learning curve things, and the curve was, ow, my arms hurt by the end. It was but I like doing things like that. I've done a couple of marathons and some like sort of 24-hour things as well, and the Serpentine and some other big events. Like I'm not traditionally sporty, like I'm a fairly substantial unit. What was it you say? I've got a fair amount of bioprene. But I like the challenge. I like being able to teach myself that I can do hard things. And I definitely can. I definitely can do hard things. I am a bloody minded pain if I want to get something done. And I think that's quite a nice thing to role model to my kids as well. Like you can do things when they're hard. And it's nice to be able to, it's not huge amounts of money, like I'm not going to get an MBE or anything, but it's enough that it's made a little bit of a difference. And I think, that if I can say I've made a little bit of a difference, then that's good. I'll take that. Yeah.
Oh, wicked. And meeting people, I mean, like, have you got any memories of meeting people at these challenges through doing stuff? Or
I met Linford Christie. He was doing the Serpentine swim, but because he's not really a swimmer, he was on that, wasn't he, back then? So he was doing the baby event, he was doing the 1/2 mile. It's like, oh, Linford Christie, the baby will be in the water at the same time. Then he went off with all the kids under 10, and I was like, oh, not. No, I've met all my very best friends swimming. I've met all my people, and I love them dearly. My people who I call when I'm upset or when I'm happy, and I've met, I think, almost all of them through swimming, because I think it helps me to even out. And I feel much more happy and content to open up when I'm relaxed, like everybody, but it just, I really have been really lucky. Oh, I could tell you about the book as well. So I'm like editing this book. This is what ADHD looks like. You can't just do nothing. I'm editing this book for charity for the Rivers Trust, and lots of people that I admired, swimmers, some people I haven't even met, kindly writing for it, so that should come out next year, so that's lovely. And I'm really chuffed because they're going to use some of my photographs, which is really nice. Yeah, it's really nice. I've done a couple of charity books before, but education, because that's like my job role, but I thought it'd be really nice to do one and kind of try and raise some money to hold water companies to account, so to fund some citizen science testing of water, because I don't know about our water companies are dreadful. So yeah, hoping to do some good there as well.
No, Severn Trent are definitely discharging stuff into our rivers and stuff, but on top of that, they pretty much have a standard policy of nobody allowed in any of our water spaces, basically. So so we just put some funding in actually to do swim safe, and I'm not sure that was part of them turning us down, because it's the first time we've been rejected on a bid. But so it's so I'm not a big fan of water companies at the moment. So
no, me either. Like, I helped to run a protest group, and basically the argument is, the infrastructure is really old, and I feel like the answer is then you should update it, not just to continue to do the thing you're doing and paying shareholders millions. It doesn't feel really very okay.
Well, the idea behind privatisation, basically, isn't it? That improve stuff, really. But one other thing I've got to ask you about this a little bit more, if that's okay, is I was a late diagnosis with ADD. I think we told this before. So I haven't got the hyperactive bit that you've got. So I'm like the poor relative in some respects, I think, as it goes in terms of diagnosis. But mine was 3 years ago, my diagnosis now. But my symptoms were really just literally losing a bank card like every month, or never knowing where my keys are, which it seems really trivial little things, but when they all stack up, like to my life, it's just like an absolute nightmare. And it was because I heard Richard Bacon talking about his diagnosis. You know, Richard Bacon, I've got the right Bacon, haven't I? I'm not going Kevin Bacon. He's the one that's
Kevin Bacon's the dancing one.
No, Richard Bacon. He was on Radio 5 Live or something, and he was just talking about it, and just talking about how he's been a risk taker and all sorts of stuff through his life, and he links it back to some of his infamous stories about himself and all that kind of stuff. But I was just really interested in what it was like getting that diagnosis, because you were already swimming at that point anyway, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I think ADHD in women is very different. Like, the reason why many women aren't diagnosed. So this is also what I do for jobs. So I'm afraid you just stumbled on my sort of specialist interest apart from swimming. So women don't tend to be diagnosed because they don't present like a little kid running around in circles throwing chairs in a classroom, which is, I think, what people expect ADHD to look like. So, it's much more pick, fiddle, 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 rocking, like. It's the kind of hyperactive thing can look very different to what I think people expect. And I think first of all, I thought, God, what if I've conned them? What if I just said to the assessor, just because I wanted to have ADHD because it would explain everything, and I've hoodwinked them. And apparently that's very common to feel sort of like an imposter.
Imposter syndrome,
Yeah, and I think once I kind of got past that, I felt relieved. And then I felt really sad. I was like, some of those things have been really hard. Like, school was really hard. And some of my mental health stuff when I was younger, it really would have helped to have known this, and to be able to help, to either be offered medication, which does help, or to be able to find things like swimming, which has literally helped immeasurably. And I kind of went through a bit of a mourning phase where I was really sad about how hard things had been. My little bunny happy self got through it, but I felt cross that people hadn't noticed, because it's not like it's not obvious. If you spend a lot of time with me, you can it's really obvious. You ask me how much free time I have, and I'm just like, none, because this is all the stuff I do. And it's obvious. It's obvious, even who don't know. But then I think once I think I've leaned in a bit now, like this is who I am, and I'm going to enjoy it. So people go, if you heard the ADHD song, I'll have to send it to you. It's ADHD to the tune of Under the Sea, and I sing it quite a lot because I just
it links back into water again then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, I think just, yeah, I've lent into it really, like, and I've really enjoyed, I think you would talk about this idea of unmasking, like I don't pretend to be not me anymore at work.
Yeah.
Work pay me to do my job, and I don't pretend to be something I'm not. And ditto with other situations. So if I'm anxious, I have got fiddle toys now, and I will sit and hold them, like I'm doing with this a little bit, you know, I'll sit and hold them, and I will be okay to say to the people in A&E, I'm really struggling with the lights and people being so close to me, is okay if we go somewhere else. And I'm okay to wear my lanyard thing if I go somewhere where it's really busy. So actually learning how to ask for help that makes my life a lot easier has been incredibly useful. And it's been really nice to be able to say to people that I have this, but it doesn't make me less, doesn't make me less valid or less useful or less functional. It makes me different, and actually difference pretty good.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I think the main difference with mine is that you just drift off, like, and I don't think you get that as much in here. Like, I'm just drift, and just something happens and I just go, and people are like, where's he gone? You know, like, but anyway, no, it's just nice to know somebody else has had that diagnosis and had those similar sort of feelings, really, and stuff.
How did you feel when you got yours?
I was a bit relieved, and then I went through the same as you. Like, you just feel like, you know, have I? Because when I spoke to somebody at work about it, they were like, oh, it's typical you, Scott. You're looking for an explanation about something, and blah blah blah, and that sort of made me feel a bit. But then, no, in the end, it was just a relief, because it made total sense to me, and I wasn't particularly angry about not being picked up at school, because I was just drifting off, and it wasn't really known about then. So it was just like, so he's smart, he's intelligent, he can do stuff, but he just drifts off. He's just like, my PE reports are like ridiculous. Like, I love PE, but they were like, but he just throws a javelin and then walks after it. Why would he do that? You know, like, not runs after it, he just walks after it. So yeah, just yeah, I think it was mainly relief. And then it felt like I had permission to go out and do loads of stuff, and that's when the charity started coming. And I feel like the charity's been quite a success and stuff, and people have got involved, so it's been really nice. So yeah, I sort of link it to that, so it's good. Right, we've hit that time at about 8:15, which is about perfect timing. So I will in a minute just pop up. I'll only pop up for like 5 minutes or so, and just say goodnight to my kids. But it's really nice at this point. We just build in getting to know some of the people that are here at the chat. So if people can, if they feel comfortable enough, just please, like, undo your microphones. If you want to pop your cameras on, you can. It's nice just to hear what you guys are up to, and why you've come, and all that kind of stuff, and just hear stuff about why you're here, whether you want to get involved in swimming going forward, or inspiration, all those kind of things. So yeah, and then when I come back, we'll feel, if there's questions for Rachel, we'll feel a few more questions for Rachel, and that'll be sort of that, really. So yeah,
cool.
Please unmute, guys, if you want to.
Well, this could be a very awkward.
No pressure, Jill. But I can see, you're the only one we can see. So,
I was going to say, yeah, it comes down to me. I thought you were going to disappear then. Sorry. So yeah, I'm a bit of a weird one. The whole kind of open swimming thing really does interest me, kind of, you know, the movement of it and what's happening. But I personally can't actually do it. I actually have a condition that, with the cold, I just cannot handle it with my hands and feet. That might be something that will change in the future, and hopefully it will. I'm not even sure if kind of wetsuiting up and literally gloves and shoes and feet might help. But really, it's just kind of, I just wanted to just kind of get more of an understanding of how it's, because it's taken off phenomenally. And just to kind of see, yeah, like, you know, you kind of said about the value of it, and you can kind of pick up there from, you know, the mental side of it and the community side of it. But how would you try and convince someone to start going swimming if they really weren't sure about it?
Yeah, so I think so I've taken my mum
Okay.
in her 70s, and yeah, it's fine. And she so I took her in the summer, like I'm gonna like, you know, freeze her to death or anything, but she was really skeptical, and she's quite well to do, you know, she's quite her house is immaculate, like I'm not allowed to take my children in the kitchen in case we scratch the cupboards, that kind of immaculate. And she was, oh, it's all muddy and it's all horrible, and she came out beaming, you know. And I think for people that have never been, I would say come and watch, because everyone's all like, oh, we're going in, it's cold, and everyone comes out beaming, and you can't really argue with that. Like, you can't argue with the difference between how people go in and when people come out. And we've had people who have been, you know, grief, who have been, you know, bereaved, and people who are going through horrible medical treatment, and you still come out beaming. And it's just this never failing, my friend calls it a cold water smile, because you just come out like and you just it's like the water washes everything away, and you're just left with this joy, and it's really wonderful, it's really life-changing. And I think if you see other people go through that, and like we've had, you know, manly builders come down, and they come out beaming like little kids, and it just seems to just be a real leveler of people. And I think if you see that happen, I think people would be more keen to try. What do you mind, what condition have you got, do you mind saying?
So I have, it's neuropathy, so it's actually a result of having chemo. So yeah, so there's kind of been a whole thing there. So hopefully it will go. Hopefully it's just a case of my body's just trying to fight it off and do it. But yeah, I kind of tried even in the summer, just couldn't do it. And even in a heated pool, I'm still struggling. So yeah, so it's just one of those, you know, kind of, I want to give it a go, and I want to get that cold water smile.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I suppose it's just kind of really just kind of getting my head around it, really. And you know, like you said, there's nothing wrong with me popping down and seeing people, you know, getting involved in them that way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like,
no.
If you like, certainly if there was someone that was local around here that wanted to do that with me, I think we would just neoprene you up, you know, and then you have layers and layers and layers of stuff. And even if you're only in for a minute, I think it still has the impact. You know, I don't think there's you don't get extra brownie points for just wearing a swimming costume, and I don't think that's particularly helpful. And people have that bit of a like, oh, just wear a swimming costume. It's like, well, good for you. But I think you know, wear what you got to wear to feel the benefit. You know, like I'm a complete pansy about putting my feet on things that hurt, and some people just can't, and I just can't, and that's fine. So I've got shoes if we're at the beach, for example, because our beaches rip your feet to shreds, as well as having on them anyway. So it's yeah, I think if you want to go, find a group, find a mental health swim or something, and ask them and see what they'd recommend, because you can get amazing, like you can layer up gloves and things. So there might be ways of doing it.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Do many people go in with wetsuits and things?
Yeah, like we have all sorts, like everything. We've got one guy who just literally skinny dips. Like, I've seen more of his bits than probably my husband's. We've got people that just do costumes. We've got people that wear wetsuits. I've got people that kind of layer, like rash vests and leggings and whatever. But people, like, we have fancy dress rooms where people go in ball gowns, for God's sake. Like, literally whatever it takes. I think is healthy, because you get the benefit that way, don't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Have they kind of done any sort of like scientific research on what actually happens? Is it still too early? Or?
No, there has been some. So Heather Massey, Dr. Heather Massey and Mike Tipton, who are at Portsmouth University, are doing research. So I was in a cohort study during lockdown for this, and they're doing another study now looking at physical benefits with long-term health conditions. So if you look up their stuff, Heather Massey and Mike Tipton, I think they're the most up to date, because they're going now, and I think their stuff's very interesting. And you know, they're both keen swimmers, so they kind of come at it from a, well, why is this working kind of angle?
Yeah, definitely.
Because there's obviously something. And you know, I quite like that it used to be very popular with Victorians and things. You know, maybe they were right.
Yeah, true. So it's years old, isn't it?
Yeah. So what do you like? Do you like go out on the water at all, or what are you able to do?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I'm a keen kayaker. Yeah,
are you?
Yeah, I love being on it. I love being around it. It's just in it thing at the moment, but yeah, no, I can't get enough of it. Yeah, it's
Oh, no, it's
definitely
perfect. I've only just taken up, well, I've been a Sea Scout leader for 2 years, and I'm kind of getting better at kayaking, but I am pretty crap compared to everybody else. But I've got past the stage now where I can hold the paddle and I go in the actual direction I'm wanting rather than doing circles, which is what I did for the first. They're like, where's my grown up? Oh, she's over there doing circles.
I totally get that. Yeah, I thought I was good at kayaking until I went canoeing, and that was a completely different ball game.
No, canoeing is different.
That was horrible.
I don't know. I accidentally. Well, no, I did it on purpose, but I told my husband it was that. I signed up to go canoeing to see Santa last year, and I hadn't really been canoeing because I normally do kayaking with Sea Scouts, and the centre of gravity is all different. And we just wobbled like this all the way to see Santa. Like, I've got no spatial awareness, and he's going, stop wobbling. He's like, I'm not doing it on purpose in the back. And it was so funny. It's so much harder.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. It's so difficult.
It's really deceiving.
And they look so easy on telly. It's like ice skating.
Yeah, true.
Oh dear. Having the various things Rachel can't do. Canoeing is like one of them.
I feel like the determination in you, though, is going to somehow beat that at some point in life, though.
Well, I mean, the Sea Scouts like win all these medals canoeing. They're really, really good because we've got a really good instructor. So they will not let me just go, oh, I'll just do safety boating forever. Eventually, they'll be like, in you get. But I'm just so. I mean, I've got a broken thumb at the minute. Like, I'm so clumsy. I'm all over the place. I think maybe that's why the water's good. They're less likely to randomly hurt myself on sharp objects. Oh dear. Yeah, I did that on the band door. It really hurt. It was horrible.
Wow.
Just, I mean, even by my standards, that's super clumsy. I mean, I slammed my own finger in the door. It's quite special. Last year I broke my elbow this is when I was still doing my 365 swimming, and a big wave picked me up and dropped me on my elbow, and it broke. I didn't realise. So I went to school for 3 days. And eventually my school nurse was like, no, you need to go to A&E. And they said, it's broken. I said, oh, do you have to put it in a plaster cast? And they were like, no. So they'd strapped it up like this, and I just swam along like this. Swimming with a broken arm because I wouldn't not finish the stupid 365 thing. Bloody minded. Yeah. And it was good.
Whereabouts at? Sorry, I just wondering, where are you, Jill? Because I probably missed that.
Oh yeah,
I'm actually in Southampton. So when you're saying River Itchen,
Rachel, I think Rachel Andrews is near you. I don't know if you come across.
Yes,
Rachel.
she is.
Yeah,
she's in my swimming group.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you should come in with me when you can.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, I'm in Hedge End. It's like a slightly less exotic suburb. You can't get Thai food on delivery, but it's still nice.
Oh. It does, yeah, it does kind of fall on the cusp, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's a bit mediocre, but it's okay. Like, it's got train links with kids. Which bit of Southampton are you?
So in Woolston, so just on the river.
Wouldn't say sewage beach. But no, we are completely blessed here because there's rivers and there's the sea and there's, there's tidal rivers and estuaries and there's lakes and there's ponds and like all sorts of everything. We're very lucky.
Surrounded. Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
I'm gonna have to come down and see it all down that way at some point.
I'll take you on a swim tour.
Yeah. No, it'll be good. It's always good to it's great when you meet people in real life from being on here, and we've done that a few times. So it's been, over to Northern Ireland and doing all that kind of stuff, and then we've done that, and and then we met Rachel because she's travelling around. We met her up in Matlock and did swim with her in the middle of the country and all that kind of stuff. So that was good.
Oh, she's so awesome. I love her videos. They're so informative. Whenever anybody wants to know anything, I'm like, did you know Rachel Andrews has made a video about it?
Yeah, and she's just gone on the. Have you heard of the Wild Women podcast?
Yeah, she's just done. I've seen that.
So our next guest after you, Rachel, just so people know about our next guest is Laura McDonald, the lady that runs the Wild Women podcast.
Nice.
So I think she'll be quite a nice guest to have on. And then we've got a guy called Mark Marsland, is it? I'm forgetting Mark's surname. Marsland, yeah. he's like a cold water therapist and
Wow.
a social media influencer and stuff. He's based near us in Lincoln.
Oh, nice.
I've seen quite a few of his bits and bobs that he does online, and yeah, he just seems like a real. He's getting a lot of guys in. I always find, doing the choir thing, I'm just like got a bit of an eye up of leveling up, getting a few more blokes in there. So,
Gender equality.
that's it. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. I don't know if Sam and Sue, they might be making cups of tea or something like that.
Yeah, maybe they're
but yeah. Have you got any more questions, Jill, or anything like that? Or
No, I don't think so. No, thank you for your time.
Well, no, thank you for coming. It's been nice to have someone to chat to. It's
Yeah,
been really good. I love meeting people when they're local as well. I'm like so excited. I'm like, let me take you swimming.
definitely.
Oh dear. Yeah.
you'll have to let me know if you guys do meet up and do something.
Oh yeah. No, I'd love to. I honestly would really like to. I mean, even if it's a paddle. Let's
Yeah.
Yeah.
When's your next one? Do you know?
Well, I
No,
go
yeah.
every day. So like I literally every day. So if you just tell me what day you want to go and I'll just fit around you.
Excellent.
Yeah. We just I have Wednesdays and Thursdays off. So if you're around Wednesdays and Thursdays, that's easy or whatever, really.
Okay.
Cool. Yay. Well, I'm on Instagram, so find me and then we can chat.
Okay.
That's
Brilliant.
exciting.
Well, I'd love to see that on the Blue Tonic, the group, the Winter Challenge group and the Blue Tonic
Oh,
group.
yeah.
That'd be great on there, little post.
Yeah.
New challenge, meet a friend online and go swimming.
Yeah.
What could
It's
possibly
such a
go
fun
wrong?
thing
What
to
could possibly
do.
go? What safeguards do we need to put in place there?
It's like the exact opposite of what you say to kids, isn't it? Don't meet people off the internet. And I'm like, let's go for a swim and get people off the internet.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, cool. So yeah, no, thanks for coming along. I think that's it's been a brilliant chat, that, Rachel. I've really
thank you for having me.
enjoyed that, and yeah, just the way you talk through everything, and yeah, it was just lovely. Really, just nice to see the water making an impact in like so many different ways, on all the different elements that you talked about and stuff like that, and like the amazing stuff that you do giving back. And it's been really nice for us as a charity that I think you were definitely the first person to approach us and go, I love what you're doing. Because I felt a bit imposter syndrome when you said that you always say yes to stuff. Like I grabbed you and was one of those people that was sort of getting you to do stuff. But it was really lovely. It was really lovely that whatever brought you to us, you came to us and said, I'd love to be an ambassador for you. And that was just like really nice. And we've had other people that have come up to us since, but you were the first person to come up to us and go, what you're doing is amazing. Can I be involved? And that was really like nice for us as a charity.
Good. I think life's too short not to. I think this is part of your embracing your when I see something that's brilliant, I'm like, I'm going to go and do that because like life's too short. Like I run this wild swimming themed art. Oh, you can come in Southampton.
You're nice.
Jill, you're going to be doing all sorts now.
It's like a water themed wild swimming themed art exhibition.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, I asked if I could have the space for free and they said yes, so why not, but to raise some money for charity again. And we did it last year, and my friend booked a ukulele band to come, and they came and they were amazing. Southampton Uke Jam, if you play the ukulele. So I've learnt since, and I'm now in their band because it's like the most fun you can have. It's so brilliant. I'm like, they jump up and down and stuff. We discovered I need a sports bra for that section, but it's so funny, and just because it was brilliant, so why shouldn't you? Like that's, I think we've learned from lockdown is life's too short to not.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%. No, 100%. But no, lovely.
No, I'm really busy. Oh, dear.
Yeah, I don't know why it's just like great. You've got all the energy to do it all.
Like to the tune of Under the Sea, ADHD. I think I do, but I mean, I can tell I'm okay to tell when I'm doing too much. Like if I get really frazzled, I can tell when to stop, which I didn't used to be able to tell. So I past the point of being, this is fun and I'm rushing around doing fun things, to I'm completely burnt out and I can't talk to anyone. So I've learned how to not get to that stage. I think that's a sort of maturity thing, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yippee. says the girl in antlers. It's the maturity thing. Oh dear. Oh, it's been really good tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Well, hopefully people can come to any of the future ones we've got on.
Yeah.
We'll do 2 more, and then we've got 1 more slot to fill. So we're always open to ideas about other people that can come on and talk about, and it is anything to do with water, really. The reason it's been quite swim heavy in terms of the people that we've had on these chats is because of lockdown, really. And I've done my open water swimming coaching course, and I was like, well, what can I do? And it just started as a networking session and stuff. So yeah. But
This is a great thing that you've done. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, cool. And no, it's just lovely. It's really nice capturing people's stories at the end of the day, and that's what it's turned into. Yeah. But cool. Well, I think we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
And,
all right, lovely to meet you, everybody. Quiet people and Jill.
And yeah, we'll have a great rest of the week and weekend and stuff, and might see people in the new year. And please, just if you're not following Blue Tonic and stuff on social media, please do.
Yeah.
Anything that Rachel's doing, and we'll stick all the links on for some of the things that Rachel's talked about. And when you put your book out and stuff like that, Rachel, we can help promote that as well. So cool. It'd be great if we can pass that on and that turn into something. But yeah,
super. Right, thank you so
everybody.
much.
All right. See you. Bye.
Bye.